to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Shall say a blooming hello. We are going to use the blooming halo Meraki motifs today, and it's this beautiful wreath. So we are going to use some fun inks from Pinkfresh Studio, and I have taken out well, 4 colors actually, and I've also got a piece of cardstock ready, so you can see on the back of these stencils, or not on the back actually, it's on the front, there are actually markings so for a A2 card and also a 5x5 square. So I have cut this piece to be a 4¼ by 5½ inches, and then on the back of this I put some post-it tape so that I can stick this piece of cardstock directly to the stencil. So this is just my preferred method of securing my stencils to my cardstock, because 1, I don't have pixie spray anymore, and 2, I don't like adding my stencil to the front just in case it rips. So the colors I picked out here are kind of like a light minty blue, green, yellow, and sort of corally pink. Not pink, yeah, coral pink. So I did go for a really light shade and then a slightly darker shade, but in the end I actually only used the super light colors. I thought maybe I needed the slightly darker color to kind of add in those details, but the beauty of the layering stencils is that you get the details by just adding ink on top of ink. So here for the flowers, so this is the first layer. I am kind of mixing and matching yellow and I'm going to call it the pink because it kind of feels like pink. And then for our second layer here, we're going to kind of go not exactly in the same area. So we're going to kind of turn the color wreath, or the colors of the wreath, slightly off so that they are kind of overlapping each other a little bit, so that that blend is going into the other color, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping it makes sense, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? But the reason why we're doing this is so that it's not exactly the same color on top of the same color, because then they do tend to kind of bleed into each other and it fades a little bit. So you lose some of that contrast and the details that we want from these layering stencils. But on stencil number 3, we have our first set of leaves, so we are going to move on to our kind of bluish and greenish colors. So you can see here, I'm actually grabbing most of my color from my lid, so I'm tapping a little bit on the ink pad, and then I'm tapping most of that off onto the lid, and the reason for this is to get a really soft color. So if you're using just one shade, it's quite important to go in very light on your first layer of whatever color you're using, because otherwise it's very difficult to get those depth, or like the details basically that each color layer is going to add. So if you are also wanting a little bit more of an opaque look, what you might need to do is just let it dry a little bit in between each layer. That's another way of just kind of making sure that each ink layer has dried enough so that when you add your next color, it's not just kind of bleeding into your already wet paper, if that makes sense. So here again, what we're doing is we are going to be adding the same 2 colors, but just slightly overlapping again, so that you do get those kind of like little details. And when you come to like the little nooks and crannies, like I have a lot of small brushes that I use for some of the like really fine details, but you can also just kind of angle your brush a little bit so that you really do get into those. And also please do remember that when it comes to ink blending, patience is key. Like trying to get a lot of color down in one go will usually give you a little bit of blotchy results, and we don't want that really. So here is the final little bit of ink blending on the last layer, and then we're going to peel and reveal, and look how soft and beautiful that is. Oh, so soft and dreamy. So I really love how this turned out, but I thought, you know what, let's just add a little bit of detail to this. So we're going to take the Parisienne cover plate, and we're going to use this directly onto our ink blending here. So we're going to try to get it like in the middle, because it actually does cut out, so it's not quite an A2 size, so we're going to have a little bit of like a detail outside. So you can see here we're going to just get rid of that frame, and then here I thought oh, we can add even more detail. Yes, we can, by using the Blooming Halo die cut as well. Now, I don't know why I thought this was going to be a good idea, but I did learn some things along the way here. So I thought at first, you know what, we're going to cut this out and then we're going to pop up the wreath with some foam tape and make it like really nice and kind of layered. But it's really, really important that you pay attention now, because I did realize when I took the die cut off that there is lots of little pieces and little holes here. I realized it was just not going to happen, although I did give it a valiant try. I'm not gonna lie, I did really, really try it first. So I thought, okay, I will start by taking this little piece out here first, and then I looked at this and I just thought, oh, yeah, no, this is not gonna work. So I did actually kind of, it took me like half a minute. I stood here and just watched this or looked at this, and I was like, no, you know what, cut your losses and just stick the whole thing down onto your panel. And I'm really glad I did, because I think this would have taken me a huge amount of time to kind of get everything into the right place and then pop that wreath up to make sure that everything was actually where it was supposed to go. Everything was, you know, scented perfectly, and yeah, just no. So I decided to also try the new Luna Meraki Paradise. This is a 3-piece, well, I say 3-piece, 3-layer butterfly plus the body. So you got a backing piece, a middle piece, and then a top piece, and together it makes this beautiful butterfly. So I thought what I was going to do was kind of try to keep some of the colors, again, quite cohesive with the whole color scheme that I'm using on the wreath. So I'm going to use some of the same inks for actually ink blending some of these pieces. So I've cut out the bottom 2 layers of white cardstock, and the top layer is a gold mirror cardstock. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink blend some colors on top of these 2 white pieces. And I'm using my little DIY kind of, it's not a sticky mat, but it's like a little keep your mess to yourself mat. So I have used a little bit of non-permanent adhesive to keep my little butterfly pieces in place. And then I've ink blended some of the pinks and the yellows on top of this butterfly, or the butterfly pieces. So on the first one, I did yellow at the bottom and pink at the top. And then on the second piece, I did yellow at the top and pink at the bottom, so that there would be a little bit more kind of, again, depth and detail and stuff, because I didn't want it all to be the same. So for these 2 pieces here, actually, I used some of the darker shades. So this is Sparkling Rose and Sunshine inks, whereas I used the Lemon Whip and Ballet Slipper on the actual halo. So here are the pieces all ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of liquid glue and adhere these to each other. So you can see there that the 2 colors are like opposites. And I mean, I guess you could say that it doesn't matter too much what you put on your bottom layer, because it's not showing through that much. But sometimes it's like, you know, the little details that you know that you put into a card making session. Here, the final piece is just adding that body, and I've cut that out of matte black cardstock just to like add a little bit of like a final little woof to it. And then this butterfly is going to go kind of right in, not in right in the middle, but somewhat in the middle. And then we're going to use a happy birthday sentiment strip. So this we're going to place on the card so that the antenna of the butterfly is kind of point, is it going to say frame, or shall we say point towards the actual sentiment? I feel like the antenna is kind of drawing the attention to the sentiment. So that was basically, you know, what I was trying to get to. And then we are going to use the Fairy Garden gemstones for this card. These are beautiful. They're kind of like an iridescent little, I don't want to say like lavender, but they're kind of like a silvery platinum color. And they work so well with a plethora of projects because they have a very kind of light color, but they're super shiny and sparkly. They just go with everything. So if you're looking for something that will pretty much go with any project that you make and that will actually pick up colors from your background, these are highly, highly recommended for sure. The other ones I would really recommend as well is the Aurora Dewdrops, the limited edition ones. So yes, those ones are fantastic. But with that, our card is done. So it's quite soft considering I usually love like bright pops of color. But I really hope you've enjoyed this video and another way of, adding detail to a card. And that is it from me for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon again. Bye for now!